All right, people, welcome to the Social Venture Podcast, episode number 12.
Yes.
We have a lot to cover today. Rob, one of the main stories, which was, we thought this very interesting. Americans older than 60 lost $3.4 billion in scams just in 2023. This is according to the FBI. After that, what are we going to talk about? The earthquake that hit Myanmar and Thailand. Over 4 million Gen Zers are jobless. You have a Gen Zer in your family?
Nope. Millennials.
Good for you. Good for you. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he confirmed that he's banning swords in Great Britain.
What kind of swords?
Like those long swords because they have a lot of stabbing issues.
Like ninja swords?
Ninja swords. Yeah, something like that.
What is a ninja sword? I got to figure that out.
I don't know, like a katana.
Isn't katana like a couch?
No. No, katana. It may have maybe a modern couch, but back in the day, it's a Japanese sword, katana. Okay. Yeah. But people older than 60 lost more money in 2023 than previous year, an 11% increase. Totaling more than $3.4 billion, according to the new report released by the FBI on Tuesday, okay?
So is this like complete, like a group of people, or is it just overall through scams overall?
No. This is Americans older than 60-year-olds.
No, but I mean
60 years old.
The people scamming them. Is it a group or is it just overall?
Like the Indians, people from India, or I don't know, people from Nigeria. Those scammers that you get. Hi, this is the Social Security calling with a terrible Indian accent.
Oh yeah.
And
what are you doing? I want to tell you that you're part of the Social Security. What I do with these people.
And my name is John Smith. That's what they say.
So what I do with them, and this is a fucking shame. There's fucking people sitting in their own piss doing this to older people. I just start talking about like religion with them, and they go fucking nuts. And I say, "Do you have Jesus in your heart?" And they go nuts because they're Hindu. And they don't want to hear that. And I go, "What about I'm not?" I go, "But you have to let Jesus in your heart," and then they hang up.
Yeah, but it's sad. Honestly, it's sad. The average loss is about $34,000, and about 6,000 people lost more than $100,000. I mean, these poor people are in their 60s. They're almost retired.
I think it's disgusting, and I have no problem with just massacring people like that. When you go after the weak, you go after the elderly who worked all their life to support families, to support economies, to support whatever, and you just take from them the little fucking the crumbs that they have, and you take from them. No.
Yeah, I think the U.S. government should have something better in effect for these calls to be screened in some way, shape, or form, because most of them, they're not coming from local, regions. They're mostly from India, or if they're from Nigeria or any part of the world.
So with a mask number.
Yeah, because they use a VPN most likely. And they make those calls like that, so you can get a local number, like, I don't know, 310-213-818 number, so you can pick up the phone. I'm glad that iPhone, I don't know if it's iPhone or is it, the telecommunication companies that have that on your phone when you get a call and it says scam likely, right? Those? And, you don't pick up. But these, poor older folks, they just fall for it, unfortunately.
I actually thought my friend's name was Scam Likely.
Scam Likely.
So every time we would call her, I thought it was some hot chick. Yeah. But you know what really aggravates me is the texting. The texting that you get, like right now, I'm getting so many political texts on my phone to defeat Donald Trump. Yeah. I'm getting, it's just, why can't they stop that? Like, and I put stop, and I get more.
Were you previously a registered Democrat?
No. Okay. And you know what really aggravates me is my wife's name is Amy. Now, if you don't know, I'm going through a divorce. But my wife's name is Amy, and I started getting these texts, and it would say, Amy, Kamala Harris needs your help. And I go, what the? Not only do I got to look at this shit, it's got to say her name on it.
So, speaking of Kamala Harris, or Kamala Harris,
yes,
I have received some interesting news from some resourceful individuals that she is like 99.9% running for governor.
Awesome.
Okay, yeah. And it's interesting how that's gonna turn out.
I'm leaving. I mean, I'm on the edge. I told somebody, I go, the California's the most beautiful state in the country, first of all, okay? It's got the most beautiful coastlines. It's got everything you can want. Mountains, beach, snow, deserts. But it's getting to a point now where the things that make California great are now being pushed back and overshadowed by the things that are making California a piece of shit. So you get to a certain point where now it's not as, okay, I went to the beach today and had dinner, lunch with my good friend, and we went and hung on the beach, and I go, this is just so beautiful. I wish they would fix all the fucking shitty politics in this state, the homeless, the taxes, the traffic, all of the stuff, because it's such a beautiful state, but it's run by idiots. It's run by people that are just fucking assholes. And Gavin Newsom, Mr. Hi, I'm a cool guy now with my podcast, is the biggest asshole of them all.
Here it says on Newsweek, polls reflect this according to Emerson College polling, which you went to Emerson, right?
That's right, Emerson College.
Yeah, polling inside California politics, The Hill conducted between February 10th and 11th among 1,000 Californian registered voters, nearly 60% out of 10 Democratic primary votes in California, 57% would vote in favor for Harris as governor. I mean, that just tells me how much California is still broken, I mean, after this terrible loss and, all this laughable situation she was in herself. I don't know why people would still vote for her. I mean,
well, we could blame Ronald Reagan for this because he opened up the insane asylums and all the had more babies, and that's who's voting for these people.
Yeah, you can bleep that if you like, but bleep it when you bleep it. Just bleep it by the sound. I want the lip readers to be able to see what I'm saying.
I'm gonna bleep it, but just know I might let a little slip through. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, we'll see how that's turned out. There's a bunch of other candidates running. One of them is the sheriff from Riverside. I forgot his name. What's the name of the sheriff?
Bianco.
Who?
Bianco.
Yeah, Bianca. Sheriff Bianca. Yeah, that's right. We actually sent him an invite to come to the podcast, and we're waiting for his reply.
No, we actually heard back from his people.
Oh, we did?
And he's a little too busy for.
He's busy. He's running
for
for
the Social
governor.
Manager podcast.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. One day he
Wait
will.
till the ratings come out, and he'll be
yeah.
knocking on
It's
our
okay.
door,
We're still
and we'll
leaving-
say, "Come on in."
Yeah, it's okay.
Hey, I just want to say one thing before we get off this scams with the phones and everything. Just as a funny side note, one time when I was living with my wife, and I got this call. We still had the landline, and we get the call, and this guy goes, "Hi, is Amy home?" I go, "Who's this?" Oh, no. He said, "Hi." He said, "Is the lady of the house home or something?" And I go, "Who's this?" And he goes, "This is John." I go, "No, it's not. This is Eric." I go, "What are you?" "Oh no, this is John. I'm here to try." I said, "No, I know who this is. You sneaky bastard! You calling my house trying to get in touch." And the guy was shitting his pants, but he did eventually hang up. So don't get angry. Have fun with these people when they call you and they harass you.
Yeah, but you gotta have time to have fun.
Oh, come on! If you have time to pick it up, you have time to have fun.
Okay, if you want to, I don't agree, but that's fine.
We don't agree on a lot. No, we agree on a lot.
Yeah. So Thailand and Myanmar had a 7.7 magnitude earthquake recently. It was yesterday, right?
Yeah, last night because I was sitting with my Masonic brother Armand Sardiani.
Yeah.
And everybody with their watches, their iWatches, whatever they're called.
Yeah, Apple Watches. Yeah.
It came up.
Oh,
Came
I
up
see.
twice, and I go, and he goes, "Oh my God, there was an earthquake in Myanmar." And I go, "Where's that?" I don't know. It's in Thailand though.
Yeah, it's near Thailand.
Okay.
And thinking of that, I was thinking today, and I was discussing this with Tom. California hasn't seen one since the last big earthquake in 1994, I think. Right? When's the Northridge earthquake? 1994.
1994.
Do you remember that?
I wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here. I wasn't here either, but it was a big earthquake. You know, a lot of damage, and I hope we don't have one. You know that you know it's a big fear I have recently, especially like a few months ago. We had one. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
sleeping and I woke up from the shaking,
Yeah.
and it wasn't nothing crazy, but still I felt it. And can
Do
you
you s-
imagine if we have a 7.7 magnitude earthquake here in LA?
Do you say earthquake when it's happening? Like as
Do
a
I say
warning?
earthquake?
Because I say when I feel the shaking, when it's not just like like when it starts shaking,
Yeah.
I go earthquake
Yeah.
for everybody in the house in case they're not feeling it. Just
Yeah.
like almost like an alarm.
No, the first thing I did is I ran to my kids' bedroom
Uh huh.
and to see, if they're okay. And thank God, it wasn't nothing crazy, but I felt it. I mean, I usually don't wake up from earthquakes. That's how, deep sleep I go into. And this one, I felt it. And thank God the kids didn't wake up, but my wife woke up. I checked in with our third boy, and yeah, everybody was okay. Thank God, yeah. But yeah, I hope we don't have one here.
I mean, when you're looking at this new earthquake that just happened, 7.7, pretty damn big. But you look at the one happened in Northridge at 6.4. 57 people died, which is a huge loss of life. But they're saying right now, the one that happened in Myanmar, whatever you
Yeah,
want to say,
Myanmar, yeah.
over 1,000 people
Yeah,
dead.
but you can't compare the structures here in the U.S. even from 1994
Yeah.
to Myanmar and Thailand today. We
Yeah.
have harder and stricter regulations, to go through, all these codes and building and safety and so on and so forth. That's why it's such a rigorous process to build anything down here. Especially if you build a high rise.
Yeah.
In other, especially in third world countries, the regulations don't really apply. People just build on top of buildings.
But you would expect these countries to have the infrastructure just a little bit to prevent this. I mean, do you guys remember the 2002 tsunami that hit Thailand? Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah,
They had nothing ready.
yeah.
You expect for them in the past, 22 years, 23 years, to step it up a notch, and they haven't done it.
Yeah, but we can also say the same thing about us as well. Californians, we've had many fires in the past, and
Damn
we
right.
weren't ready for this one either.
No, touche. No, touche.
Yeah, so
Well, do they not have a different grade of mud that they put on the roof before they put the leaves?
yeah, but but speaking of that, here, who I think which country is the best in such things, like safety, precaution, and making sure everything is in order. I can think of two countries, Germany
Yeah.
and Japan. I mean, those people, especially the Japanese. Yeah, you give me that face, man. In my opinion, they are like one of the most. First and foremost, I think they're incredibly intelligent. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Second, they are. They do everything by the book. They make sure everything is in order. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything is constructed in the right, and correct manner. And I was watching this video. Tom, I don't know if you can pull this up. Can you go on YouTube, Google Japanese airline employees putting the luggage on the by the tarmac, and how gently they were putting this, the luggage. You know how in the U.S. here they just freaking throw it?
Like they do at UPS?
No, not here. Not this one. Go. It's by the tarmac, not inside the airport.
Are they union workers?
I don't know, and it doesn't matter. That just tells me the type of people they are. That just tells me their culture. They tell me how normal they are and how unnormal we are here.
So, and explain to me the nuclear meltdown during the tsunami.
Nuclear meltdown, tsunami. When was that? That was 2000. What was that?
2011.
11, 12?
Fukushima.
Yeah.
No. Was it in Hiroshima? No.
Fukushima.
Fukushima. Yeah, Fukushima, not Hiroshima. I know it was because Hiroshima is not by the ocean. Fukushima. That was the Fukushima plant, right? That exploded.
It melted down.
Yeah, or mental down. I don't know. Listen, nobody's perfect. Yeah, Fukushima nuclear accident. There you go. 2000 Japanese nuclear accident. Redirect. What is? Can you zoom in for a moment? There you go. Nuclear accident was a major nuclear accident at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Okuma, Fukushima, Japan, which began on March 11, 20. Oh, so it was in March. The cause of the accident was the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. And it was an earthquake
And tsunami.
and a tsunami. That's why it happened. So it's not like it was because of their structure or their whatever they had in place that exploded or just melted down. It was
No,
because
but I'm
of
just saying that it doesn't matter. I mean, if Mother Nature wants to destroy you,
Yeah.
she will
Yeah.
destroy you. I don't care how many bolts or metal.
Just going back to the Japanese, I think they're like such a unique culture and unique people, compared to the rest of the world.
No, they're highly educated.
Very educated, very
Sure.
smart, very technologically advanced. I mean, if you look at their economy back in the 70s, they were just kicking ass with technology. I mean, do you remember Panasonic?
Well,
I mean,
because
Panasonic's still in existence, but those Japanese-made TVs.
because our companies didn't want. Like, first of all, from what I understand, we gambled on the Betamax. Okay, we didn't gamble. We said, the VCR, that's garbage. That's not going to go anywhere. We gambled on the Betamax. I don't know if you remember what a Betamax was. It was like a VCR, but
Oh,
it
I
was a
see.
different tape.
Yeah.
The Japanese took the VCR and they crushed it.
Yeah, they
They crushed it. So then all of these companies start going over there. I had one conspiracy theorist told me, and this is when my wife was in the hospital having one of my children. I don't know which one it was. And he said to me, he was like, he was the anesthesiologist. And he says to me, at Glendale Adventist, and he says to me, he goes, you know what Sony stands for, right? I go, what? Standard Oil of New York. And I'm like,
Look, Japan 1970s, high growth rate, averaging 5 to 10% GDP growth. That's like incredible. Under Clinton from 92 to 2000, we had 4.8% GDP growth, which was immense. It was something we haven't had until now. And they've had 5 to 10% GDP growth in those years. Western economies at the time saw slower growth, averaging 2 to 5 due to stagflation. They weren't going through any stagflation or inflation, but they were just kicking ass. Became the second largest economy in the world by the late 70s. After the U.S. They're the second largest after the U.S. I mean, that small little island,
yeah.
Compared to the rest of the world. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the type of people they are.
And the problem is during that meltdown, I'll never forget. I don't know if I said this before on a different podcast. We talk about so many different things. I remember going into Target and there was no electronics.
Yeah.
There was no electronics for months. And that's back then in 2011 when I realized
That how much Japan. right?
that this country needs to start making our own products again. Because if we're relying on this country for chips and this country for electronics and this country for steel, and we get into some kind of clusterfuck war, where do we get? So we're gonna we're gonna start a war in a week. Now we're gonna start building power plants so that we have the energy to make steel, and we got to make power plants so that we have the energy to make this, because we don't have enough electricity in this country to make stuff, and that's why they're reopening a lot of these old electrical plants so that we can bring the steel back and that we can bring infrastructure back and start making more of our stuff here and stop relying on other countries.
Speaking of that,
Go ahead.
Trump keeps his word and delivers big win for the U.S. auto workers, with all these tariffs and so on and so forth, which is great. And you're right. We should produce, a lot of stuff. I think we have the capability, we have the technology, which is the most important. Unfortunately, we haven't for many years. We got comfortable. We got comfortable on China. We got comfortable on, Taiwan, comfortable with, Japan, or many other countries in Southeast Asia as well.
Well, it's because of regulations. It was because of slave labor.
And you're right. Slave labor here.
No, they went to They went to China. They went to Mexico. They get slave. They get people that work for $5 a week.
No, I get that,
Yeah.
but if the U.S. government gives tax credits to those companies, for instance,
Yeah.
Apple, Nike, and a lot of people who produce a bunch of stuff
You think Apple's
Outside of
coming
the-
back?
outside of the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
those tax credits will, be complementing the slave work you're talking about, which is cheap labor, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
It'll complement that, and it will offset that cost. And speaking of all these tariffs that are going on, so 25% tariff on all imported autos, okay, coming
Mhm.
from anywhere in the world. That's what Trump actually announced recently, right, Tom? Starting April 2nd.
The second, yeah.
Yeah, April 2nd, 25% tariffs. That's great. I mean, the auto industry is a little bit different because we're more prepared. We've had the auto industry here in the U.S., to be strong and able to produce many cars. But if we compare to other industries, I don't think we're ready. If we talk about steel, manufacturing, if we talk about, those chip factories, like,
Well, we have one in the biggest one. I was talking to my buddy last night about it in Silicon Valley. Fuck, I wish my memory was better, but it was one of the original from the 70s
yeah.
chip companies, and they're one of the biggest.
We're actually building in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Is it Texas or Arizona?
Texas.
Company is THMC. What's the name? Can you pull it up?
All my exes live in Texas.
TSMC. There you go. TSMC.
While we're on this subject, what do you think about Jasmine Crockett calling Governor Abbott Hot Wheels?
Oh, the congresswoman.
Whatever she is,
Yeah.
with the big fake eyelashes,
It's in Phoenix. There you go. It's in Phoenix.
in the weave, in the ghetto centric language. What do you? I mean, don't you think that the people that make a lot of noise about the way Trump talks, they're okay with this woman calling a handicapped man in a wheelchair Hot Wheels?
First and foremost, I think, you shouldn't call anybody handicapped any other name.
Yeah.
You shouldn't call them any names at all besides calling them normal human beings just like you or I.
Yeah, if you want to call him an
But-
asshole, that's fine because
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
centering on his
when
handicap.
I say name, in concentration to their disability. That's what I mean. You shouldn't call anybody with any disability referring to their disability any name. But I also think that sometimes people, when they just go at it, they talk, they sometimes say things without thinking, and she might have not really meant it in a negative way,
I doubt it.
in a bad way.
Have you heard her speak to other people? She's trying to take control of the Trump reality show
yeah.
because all these people are trying to they want to be on the forefront of just being obnoxious. Okay, they're trying to get on those TikTok. They want to be on those podcasts. Jasmine Crockett, if you like, we'd like to talk about it here. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that the left allows that. The left has no problem with Elon Musk's Tesla dealerships being burned, his cars being destroyed, people's personal property being destroyed, and they are probably Democrats driving the Teslas because that's who was the big fan, and a Democrat is going and destroying another Democrat's car. That's why you're at 20% approval rating, because you're a bunch of fucking jerk-offs. Leave the fucking cars alone. Leave Elon Musk alone. If you don't like his policies, vote for somebody else. That's what you do. You don't destroy people's properties.
Their argument is going to be that they didn't vote for Elon Musk. That's their argument.
But he was appointed by President Trump, and they knew when Trump won that he was going to be in his cabinet at some point.
Yeah.
So they were talking about Doge before he was even elected. Okay.
Yeah. Make him look nice. He's getting a lot of hate speech. Have you seen his comments?
Well, we both are. They're calling us both idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They call me an idiot too.
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
You know what I like most about
Good for
you
them.
guys being called idiots and stupid and whatever you want to call it, Nazis or Yahtzees?
Yeah.
What do they call you?
They were saying, well, first they made fun of my cowboy hat. They said, you're a Custer hat. They said, oh, we like your General Custer hat. And I go, it's actually just John Wayne hat. It's from John Wayne. That's the name on the inside. It's
Yeah,
John
when
Wayne.
they called you Yahtzee.
No, they said, oh, they called us both Nazis, but they used Yahtzees, you're Yahtzees, and this and that. And I go, and I'm like, well, I guess you're afraid to use the word Nazi, you fucking child. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. I just have fun throwing banter out there. I don't care. I'm not gonna sleep now. They called me names.
But here's my thing, okay? You know, I consider myself someone who is on the left, you know, like a light left. You know, I love my amendments, I love my Constitution, but I see people on the far left saying this ridiculous stuff, and they're just like, from my point of view, they sound dumb. They sound stupid. They sound like they don't know what they're effing talking about, okay?
Yep.
And it's sad because I know you as a person.
I'm an independent.
Joe, I know you as a person. And you guys are good people with honest opinions. And if people can't take an honest opinion, go pound sand.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I agree 100%. We're not like being malicious. First of all, when you're doing a podcast, you have to take a side. You don't have to be 100% on that side, but you got to take a side. You can't just sit here and be in the middle the whole time. Oh, you got to look at this point, you got to look at that point. And you got to be entertaining. Okay? So if it's just two guys just fucking bunch of dribble droning on about nonsense and stupidity or nothing, nobody's going to watch it. They want to be entertained. That's what it's about. So if you fucking knuckleheads out there don't understand what all this minutia on the social media is, you think Bill Maher hates Trump? Bill Maher is going to the White House to have dinner with Donald Trump. He's not an idiot. He's doing a show, and most of his fans are left, even though he's losing a lot of them because he's going more towards the center because he sees how idiotic the woke took over the party and how idiotic AOC is and Bernie Sanders and Jasmine Crockett and Hakeem Jeffries is another trying to get Pete Hegseth impeached because of a stupid text that didn't mean anything. You know about the text, right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing on that text that was bad, but this is all they have. So they grab onto it.
Yeah,
They grab onto it and they go, look at what we got. Look at what we got. Look at what we got. They're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah, they
And then you
they
got,
just need something to grab on. I've read it. You know, nothing. Yeah, I don't
there's
think.
nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing giving away any U.S.
What's it, Jeffrey
secrets.
Goldberg? Is it Goldberg, the head of who has written so many false stories about Trump for the Atlantic? A piece of shit I wouldn't wipe my ass with if I was in the woods, and that's all that was next to me, and I had a diarrhea.
Speaking of woke, did you have you heard about the box office hit Snow White?
You mean box office? What do they crash? Box office. I don't know who's telling these people. Look, when I first moved out here, I drove cross country in 2000. I drove from Rhode Island to Los Angeles in 2000, March of 2000, to move out here. You people have to understand what this country is full of. It is not full of woke, lesbian, gay people, okay? It's full of just American people that just want to go to work, be entertained, not watch this woke bullshit, not having dwarfs and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. How idiotic. There's a show called The White Lotus. 2 seasons I watched and I loved. This season, I'm watching it, I think 5 episodes in. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, who's one of the cast members, and his brother in the cast. They're not brothers, but his brother in the acting cast, making out. Incest between Schwarzenegger's son and this other young boy, making out.
I saw that episode, man, and it's completely disgusting. I mean, did you see the last episode, though?
No, I won't watch it anymore now.
In the last episode, him, his brother,
Schwarzenegger's son.
yeah, and a woman were having a threesome, okay? And
Which show is this?
White Lotus, you can find on HBO Max, okay?
Jesus Christ.
The brother was the other brother while he was having sex with the woman in a threesome. And this is the media that we're forced to consume. And it's disgusting. I watched it. I'd watch it with my girlfriend, Colleen. And I felt uncomfortable. I was like, what the hell is this shit?
Wow.
Now, I refuse because I tried to be very liberal in my life, and I try to accept everything. But with what I have seen going on with the woke shit, and Mike White is a fucking damn good writer. He's wrote some really good shows. I don't know what the he's thinking. And then there was a scene where Sam Rockwell plays a character, and he talks about wanting to be a Thai woman getting. That's what he wants to be. A man saying this to another man. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to watch this shit anymore. Before I would just go, okay, this is disgusting. I'll just be artistic about it.
I'm going to defend Sam Rockwell. That monologue in that show, it was crazy good. Because he was talking about his past life, how he was a sex addict, how he was trying to find something.
Is this still in the White Lotus?
Yeah, in the show that we're talking about, the White Lotus. And he found Buddhism. He found religion after it. I mean, hear me out. It's weird hearing about a man want to be a little Asian lady, you know? But don't get me wrong. Finding religion and finding peace in something is beautiful. And I don't care what it is.
Are we able to pull that scene up or no?
These women, what is desire? The form of this cute Asian girl, why does it have such a grip on me? Because she's the opposite of me? Is she going to complete me in some way? I realized I could a million women, I'd still never be satisfied. Maybe what I really want is to be one of these Asian girls.
I think the reactions, I can't think the actor off the top of my head. Who's
David Goggins.
The guy
David
sitting
is
in front of
really he's a really good actor. Both of them are good actors. His reactions are incredible as an actor who studied this craft. I didn't buy anything Sam Rockwell was saying. I did not buy it for one moment. So maybe that's part of it, but I just think that watching two men kiss and then listening to this fucking monologue about him getting fucked in the ass, it's just too much. And then to hear that the next episode, Schwarzenegger's jerking off or getting jerked off by another guy. Arnold, what the fuck you doing with these kids? Are you not taking care of them, or are you doing the same thing? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, but you have to understand this is art.
It's not art. It's filth.
But listen to me, okay? Art can be
Incest.
Art can be received in 1,000 different ways. I think this monologue we just watched was powerful. But what happened in that scene with a brother jerking off another brother, that pushes the line of art.
I mean, isn't this pushing the line?
Do you know when I was editing porn, I believe you could not have siblings fucking each other. They had to be step siblings. They're real siblings on HBO jerking each other off, or one's jerking the other off. That to me is just too much. Too much.
All right, I think we have enough of this. But this is stupid. I don't think this is normal. I don't think people should be watching something like this. Or if they're watching this, I don't think, the directors and producers should be putting in. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is the realities for some people, but it's not for the masses, not for the many. I mean, this is just, let them do whatever the hell they want to do on their own, but don't parade it and tell everybody, hey, this is normal. If it's in the movies, these stupid things get into people's heads. Especially kids,
Yeah.
teenagers. I'm talking about 15, 16, 17, 20-year-olds who might go to Thailand and Bangkok and bang the shit out of a gazillion women, and then think, oh, maybe I feel like this way. You know what I'm saying? This is just, anyways. We have a lot of Gen Zers, over 4 million of them. I don't know if you know Gen Z, what year it is. 1997 to 2012. Those are the Gen Zers. Over 4 million people.
No.
Yeah.
No. Gen Zers?
97 to 2012. Those are millennials are from in the 80s. I'm a millennial.
Oh, so so the Gen Zers are, my kids are Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 97 to 2012, over 4 million Gen Zers, they're jobless. They're hopeless. Over 4 million Gen Zers are not in school or at work in the U.S. And it says, and in the U.K., 100,000 young people joined the NEE.
What's the end date on that?
2012.
Well, I mean, my youngest was born in 2008. He's 16. So
he's a Gen Z.
So, but what I'm saying is,
No, he's not 16. If he's born in 2008?
2008.
Yeah.
So he's 16.
Yeah, okay.
So if this is going to 2012, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So there's kids in there that are still in high school and maybe even in middle school.
Yeah.
In that group. So
Yeah,
I don't understand.
We're talking about the kids from 97, 98.
Yeah, but they give the data. What I'm saying is that they're giving you the date of 97 to 2012.
I know, but even if they're in high school, they're still jobless. I started my first job when I was 13.
Yeah, but you're from a different generation.
So what does it
all
matter?
three of my kids are working. I mean, I'm not making excuses for anybody. All my kids work. My son plays baseball, and when he's done, he goes to work or he goes from school. If he has nothing to do, he calls up In and Out and says, "Hey, you got any hours for me?" All my kids do that. They all work. So what I'm saying is the numbers there. I don't know where they're.
So in the U.S., we have about 360, 370 million people living, right? Total.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Zers from 97 to 2012, there are about 70 million of them, okay? And if we take out the kids who are still, born in 2012, it's 2025 right now, who are like 13 years old or 14 years old, fine, not everybody goes to work at 13 and 14 like I did or most of my friends did, but we can take those out. Let's say half of them is that. The other half, which is about 35 million of them, they're jobless, okay? They don't go to college, and they think college is worthless. And me and Tom were talking about this earlier today. I mean, he has his own opinion, but my opinion is that if you take on a degree that can give you the ability or the potential to find a decent job, I don't think it's worthless to go to school, to go to college, to go to a 4-year.
What's the average? I mean, what I like to do with articles like this, I like to go a little deeper and find out what is the generation. And of course, it's Gen X. But what were the years of the Gen Xers that had these kids? Because I was born in '65. My wife was born in '76. Now I can understand the way she parents that compared to the way I parent. Yeah. There's a big difference in that 11 years. So you got to blame the parents why these kids are not. They have no ambition because the parents gave them iPads and cell phones to raise them. My kids were growing on the sidewalk until I left the first time. I didn't get them any of that garbage. I wanted their mind to work. I wanted their synapses to work. I wanted them to use their imagination. I wanted them to use all of their functions to be creative. But when you put that gadget that brainwashes you in front of young kids, that's all they know, and they don't know how to use their imagination anymore because this machine's doing it all for them. And how many of those kids are affected from technology that they're just brain dead, lazy potheads? I mean, I don't know.
Well, do you mind if I go, Joe?
Yeah, go ahead.
The main problem is this. In our schools right now, we're not teaching them the right subjects. I think you and I were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, in my opinion, are going into worthless degrees of study. Okay? This is the problem. You have a lot of people going into gender studies, going into visual performing arts, liberal arts, general studies, humanities. These types of degrees aren't going to help you out.
No, but hold on. I got to interrupt you there. You gave one of those degrees. Visual arts? Are you kidding me? That's a wonderful degree.
Okay, tell me about it.
Visual arts is Hollywood. It's, editing. It's computer science type of related work. Visual arts is, doing a lot of work on, movies and studios. Can you confirm this?
When I was going to college, it wasn't called visual arts. It was called a film degree, or you got an acting degree.
No, that's a different.
Yeah.
Can you go? What is visual arts degree? I mean, I'll tell you right now. Visual arts.
No, I gotta say though, while you're doing this, liberal arts is
visual.
No,
arts.
but he said liberal arts too. Liberal arts is a good degree for people entering into college who don't know what they want to do, because you can find something that you enjoy and then you can matriculate to a degree of something else.
So okay, look, I'm going to read this for you. Okay, visual arts focuses on the creation, understanding, and appreciation of visual art, encompassing areas like painting, sculpture, photography, digital art, which is what I was referring to, while also exploring art history and theory. I mean, painting, sculpting, if you're an artist, you painter and sculptor. I understand you said gender studies. I get that. Maybe with gender studies, you can eventually become a professor and teach it at another
I
university.
don't agree with this. I don't agree. If that's the definition of visual arts. Now, I just saw something which was interesting, and they had they had Picasso, which didn't have a degree in art, and they had all these artists that didn't have a degree in art, which were great artists. And then they said people with a degree in art, and they was a banana duct taped to the wall. And they said, this is what a degree in art gets you. Because if you don't have the talent to paint, if you don't have the talent to do sculpture, then how is a degree going to make your life any easier? That's a use. I agree. That's a useless degree. Visual arts. There it is, right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoko Ono was a visual artist, and she was garbage. You go on a ladder and it says you are here, and then you go to another part of the room and it says you are there. I mean, that's not art. Like, I could just shit in my hand, throw it on the wall, and say that's art.
More than just visual arts.
That's
okay?
John Lennon's wife you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
We need to explore more than just visual arts. We can talk about, you brought up, what was it? When people dig for dinosaurs.
Yeah, like paleontology,
archaeology. Now tell me, do you think we really need another archaeologist in the world?
Yeah, but that's such a niche profession and a degree that a lot of people don't go into it. And the ones that do go into it, I mean, if we didn't have paleontologists and archaeologists, we wouldn't know this much about, dinosaurs living millions of years ago and all
now,
these.
How beneficiary is that, learning about dinosaurs?
Very.
You think
Yeah.
the world runs
It's
off
like
running?
you telling me how beneficial is it to learn about history in general?
History is a different story.
Why? That's the same thing. It's about animals that existed
That's
on the
natural
planet
history.
Earth.
I'm talking about human history. Two different things, Joe.
No.
My point being is this. We are losing touch with what matters. Mathematics, science, philosophy. And don't get me wrong, Joe, I love art as just as much as you do. But
I don't think so, but
okay, I respect that. But we need to pay attention to what really matters. Engineering, medicine.
yeah, I get that. But these people, they're saying that these degrees are worthless, And in this article, it says that there's been a mass derailment when it comes to Gen Z in their careers. About a quarter of young people are now deemed NEETs, meaning not in education, not in employment, nor they are in training. While some Gen Zers may fall into the category because they're taking care of family member, many have been frozen out of increasingly tough job markets where white-collar jobs are seemingly out of reach. But why do you think those jobs are out of reach? Because if you're not educated, you're not experienced, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm not even talking about college, okay? I'm talking about high school. I was employed throughout the entire 4 years of high school. When I was a freshman in high school, I had more money in my pocket than all the seniors combined maybe together because I had a job. I worked 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was cleaning dishes, mopping floors, and making some pizza if I was lucky. And that just gave me the value of a job. I was working with people older than me, wiser than me, smarter than me, and that gave me the opportunity to learn, become smarter as a 14-year-old, to have a bigger vision. I was 15. They let me manage the freaking store, the pizza store. Me and my friends were managing this, $2,000 a day business. That place was making about $2,000 a day, which is, crazy amount of money back in the days. And that just gave me the thought of, hey, while I go to college, I still have to be employed. So I went to college. I was employed. I opened up my own business while I was in college. So that's what I'm saying. If you don't do all of that, you don't have the experience. You don't look forward to the opportunities that may arise. Of course, you're going to be jobless.
Let's look at it since we're on this topic, because this aggravates me. How many of these people going to college are not going to college? They're sitting home in front of their computer going to college. To me, that is such a fucking shit college. And because part of going to college is the social aspect of it. If you want to be an artist, you want to do anything in the humanities, you got to be around people in a social atmosphere. You got to have interaction with people in college. This is how you become who you are, through these social interactions. When you're sitting home in front of your computer, taking a test with your cell phone over here, getting the answers. Oh, that answer is this. That answer is that. So what are you actually learning? And that's probably why these people are not working or don't have jobs, because all they care about is making money, these universities. So, hey, online, it's easy. Let's go online. No, I would never go to college online.
Yeah, but that's a different story. That's
the generation.
Topic.
That's the generation that
I know, but they're not even doing that. They're not even going to those online colleges. They're saying they're jobless, okay, because and experts are blaming, worthless degrees, and besides getting a degree, that they're lazy. They're couch potatoes. They want to play video games.
Because they don't leave the house. There's no social interaction. They got a video game they're playing, and then they're looking at TikTok and looking at the shit on there. And then if they are going to college, they're going to computer college. So there's no social interaction. When you were a kid, when I was a kid, we were all playing fucking guns. We would get sticks and we use rocks, and we would, we would fucking beat each other up. We would just ride our bikes. We would make ramps and jump over leaves.
I think my generation was the last one to do that.
Yeah. No, Joe, I completely agree with you. I feel like your generation was hard-nosed, just like yours, Rob.
Yep.
But the problem is this. We're letting kids study whatever the hell they want. So what I've done for you guys is I found a video. Kids from NYU, a pretty well-known college, right?
Yeah.
And they interview the kids.
Okay.
What'd you study? Check this out.
Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm studying the unseen body in creative spaces, erasure and exposure of the queer.
Hey, I'm Nina, and I studied the arts, education, and social justice.
I'm Joyce. I studied decolonial intimacies, indigenous politics, and resistance.
I'm Victoria, and I studied remembering or forgetting, navigating international conflict through collective memory.
Hi, I'm Kira, and I studied textiles and environmental justice.
Hi, I'm Nunyala. I'm studying living artfully, art as ritual therapy, and pathways of decoloniality.
I'm Naomi, and I'm studying Black political economy.
I'm Natalie, and I'm studying fashion history and gender studies.
My name is Marie, and my concentration is the radical disruption for survival, development in sub-Saharan Africa, and social anthropology.
Hi, I'm Ava, and I study woman, fugitive family, relationships, and identity, the transformative Black woman.
Look, not everybody goes to get a degree to push humanity forward. Yeah, I mean, if you're a journalist, or you are if you're a journalist, maybe you'll push humanity forward in some way, shape, or form. But where is this? There's these. I've never even heard some of these degrees. I don't know.
It's foolishness.
Recently invented something.
It's stupid.
But
it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, some degrees, they're okay. Like political violence, she was talking, or political science, she was. I mean, that's a normal degree.
That's a big deal.
Poli-sci is it's a normal degree. It's been around for ages. My partner actually has a degree. Sam has a degree.
So when you go for a job with these degrees, right? You're gonna go for a job, and they're gonna say, "What did you study?" Oh, I studied paradoxical equilibrium, and they're gonna go,
What is that? Can
"Okay."
you Google what paradoxical equilibrium degree
So
is?
a lot of these colleges will let you study any idea you have in your head. So I lived in Tuscaloosa. No, I swear to you. A lot of these colleges will say, hey, you can create your own major, and you can be the specific scientist in it. I'll show you right now. You guys keep on talking, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
So you go to a job with this degree, and the guy behind the desk who's interviewing you goes, "Okay, so what is that?" And the person says some gibberish. He goes, "Well, I need you to like put the burger on the grill, and then put the pickles." And I mean, what are these degrees? What kind of job do you get with that degree? I mean, I don't understand it. I went to Emerson. At first, I went to a community college because I wanted to get all my gen eds out of the way, and the classes were $300, and I had to work and support myself to do this stuff. So I got my associates in drama, and then I went to Emerson, and I studied, which was a continuation of acting and directing and all that stuff, and writing, and I got a BFA in fine arts, and I could do all those things. So if I go to with theater, or I can write film, or I can do film. But I also came out here after I did lots of theater and film back east. I came out here to learn the film industry, and I started as a PA, and I didn't get paid, and I worked on Hoobastank's first video before they were even signed. So, and then I started working in the studios. I mean, what are these degrees? I don't understand. I mean, some of them I understand, but most of them, like, get the fuck out of here.
Tom, where's this source from? What's the source? What's the
CIE Learn. So I'll give you background really quick.
University of Alabama New College. Okay.
So a lot of these colleges are doing a new route where if you don't like what they have as like a general study, as whatever, you can study whatever the heck you want by creating individualized courses of study called in-depth studies, consistent with their own interests, goals, aptitudes, and temperaments and skills. So
yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy. So let's say I love punk rock, but let's say I love German punk rock from the Stuttgart area. I can make that my major. It doesn't make sense.
You know where that all comes from? From lack of money, maybe lack of university funding,
lack of brains.
You know, and these universities are treating themselves just like businesses do. They're coming up with new products to sell, and they're giving the bill. Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. I mean NYU or University of Alabama, which is also a credible college. You know, they've been around for years, and they're new. It says new college at the University of Alabama. Alabama is in an interdisciplinary liberal arts program where highly motivated undergraduates design their own curriculum, leading to a BA or a BS degree, totally BS degree. That's right. Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't think this is.
So what this is going to happen is a good thing Donald Trump is president, because he's going to bring back a lot of industrial jobs. And this is what these people with these degrees are going to have to do. They're going to have to sit and put a bolt in a piece of plastic, because that's about all they can do with these degrees.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with people going to, trade schools.
Trade schools are awesome.
Go become a mechanic. Go become an electrician. Go become
plumber.
A plumber.
Plumbers make lots of money.
Yeah.
Do you know how much a plumber makes in California?
Shitload.
A ton.
Yeah.
$110,000 a year.
Yeah. And a lot of these Gen Zers and a lot of younger folks, they don't look at that as an honorable job, or like a job where, hey, it's not held in a high regard. Of course it is. Of course any job is held in a high regard. If you have a job and you're making money and you're supporting a family, every single job is held in high regard. No job, there's no such a thing that this job is better than the other. If you're doing it to support your family, every single job is a great job. And these people don't understand that you being a plumber, you being, a mechanic, an auto mechanic, or being,
Electrician.
yeah, or an electrician, how much money they can make. They can venture out on their own. They can open up their own business. They can hire their own people. They can go and get shitload of clients and make gazillions of dollars.
So when I was a kid, we had a television set, and we had 3 channels. We had ABC, CBS, NBC. Then you usually had 2 local channels. We had WGBH 38, and we had WLVI 56. I can remember them because that's all we had. And nobody wanted to be an influencer. Nobody wanted to be a celebrity. Everybody would follow usually in their parents. If your father was a plumber, most likely you were going to be a plumber. If your family had a restaurant, most likely you were going to work in the restaurant, okay? And then everybody decided with the MTV and the 80s and all that shit, that which was I think the starting point for what we're dealing with today. Nobody wants to do those jobs because they're not sexy. Those jobs aren't sexy.
Yeah.
So they want to do the jobs where they don't have to get dirty.
Exactly.
They don't have to do anything hard, and they get paid a lot of money. And it's I don't know. It's ridiculous. If I had to go back in time, I don't know what I would do. I could have been a fireman, but I could have been a postman. But I wanted to go to college, and I did that. And but right now I'd be retired if I was a fireman.
I got 2 things to say. If you were a fireman, you'd be the guy starting the fires. That's what I would see you as. And my question for you, Joe, is this. How many people on Earth go to the restroom?
Go to a restroom?
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
How many people need
8 billion
power?
of them.
Yeah. How many people need power?
Everybody.
How many people have a car in America?
A bunch.
And if you don't see that as a entrepreneur or a regular person,
yeah,
you're gonna fail.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be a sexy job. And I don't know what a sexy job is anyway, but when you make a lot of money, that's sexy to me. It doesn't matter how you make it. I mean, in an honest way, what I mean is, doesn't matter if you're a plumber, if you're a gardener. I don't know if I told you this story. So I have a friend, okay, and he was telling me that his very dear friend one day was eating at a restaurant, okay, and he's driving this beautiful Ferrari, and somebody came up to him and says, "Hey man, what do you do for a living? Driving this car?" He said, "I'm a gardener." He said, "Man, get out of here! Stop playing with me. What do you do? Tell me. It's so interesting. You know how the guy in The Wolf of Wall Street goes to Leonardo DiCaprio and tells him, 'Hey man, tell me I'll come and work for you right now,' kind of a thing."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm a gardener." And he really is a gardener. He owns one of the largest gardening companies in Los Angeles. I mean, if that's not beautiful, if that's not sexy, then I don't know what is.
In back east, there was the Shalvey. That was the names of your Irish Shalvey. They were one of the biggest landscapers. Not landscapers where they would actually do landscaping, but they were the ones that would go and cut everybody's grass, do their shrubs and all that. And there was a family of brothers. And they all had their own trucks, and they used to make a lot of money doing landscaping. I love doing landscaping. I used to do landscaping.
Yeah, but what I'm referring to is that everything, every job is beautiful, and from every job, you can venture out and make a business and go out on your own, become an entrepreneur, and make a lot of money.
Well, this was fun, as usual. I don't know how much of this we covered, but ho, ho, it was fun.
If you want to venture out of this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share.
Chewthecud.com. And go to Amazon and help me out a little bit. Help a brother out. Purchase my book, Perceptions of Life, the World I Want to Create. It's always fun. To anybody that gets offended, well, like I said earlier, we just come out here to be real. We're not being malicious. We're not being anything. We're just giving our thoughts from where we come from, what we think. It may not agree with you, but doesn't mean we don't like you. We love everybody, right?